After taking up the role of Millennium Stadium General Manager in 2006 and having previously worked as Operations Manager, Gerry Toms has announced his retirement after 8 successful years in the job.
It's the home of Welsh rugby. Our job here in the stadium is to prepare the stage for our national team. You know, we do that with great pride and passion. And people quite often say to me, the staff that work here, and there aren't that many of us really, but the staff that work here, they look at it and it's not just a job, it's a vocation. There's something very special, I think, of when you're working here, of being part of that team that delivers an event. And when you see the crowd, you hear the music and, you know, and Wales win, and people cheer and they go away and they just pat the stewards on the back and they say to you, do you work? And you say, yeah, and they say, oh, fantastic, fantastic job. And quite often that's worth more than money, but don't tell my boss that. It's a hugely complicated machine. I mean, it's like 13 different departments in the stadium. It takes us almost 2 weeks to get the stadium ready for a major event in terms of all the work we have to do. You know, and there's endless meetings, endless conversations, you know, big documents that tell what's happening because we plan it to the minute. Everything has to happen at a certain time. The teams have to come out, the band has to play, the lights have got to come on, the boilers have got to come on at certain times. So it's a huge complex, a bit like an oil tanker, I suppose. This huge, massive machine that just trundles slowly forward, but it's always forward and never backwards, of course.
Having recently worked on his final Six Nations tournament, the stadium is recognised across the world as the home of Welsh rugby. It has also hosted a wide range of events during Gerry's tenure. So what have been the standout moments for him?
I mean, there are so many really, and I could probably name about half a dozen, but I think if I had to choose one, I'd be torn between Heineken Cup final, the first time Munster won it here in Cardiff. They won it twice, of course, they won it subsequent to that. But, you know, they tried so hard as a rugby team to win that competition. They'd been in the final before and lost. And I always remember, you know, I came out into the bowl here and it was just a sea of red. It was like a Welsh game, a sea of red. It was all Munster men, you know, and shirts. And they were playing a French side. I think probably the French had maybe, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 there. It must have been, I'm not exaggerating, probably over 70,000 Irish. I don't think anybody left in Limerick. And they won. And you look at the crowd and the realisation, and men were crying. And that's what rugby's all about, isn't it? But probably that would be pipped, I think, by one other event, and that's when Wales played here. And of course, you remember that great time when we were playing against Scotland, where I think we were about 11 or 12 points down. And in 2 minutes of injury time, we won the game. And people had left. People had already given up and said, no, that's the end of the game, Wales have lost. And they'd gone and they were off walking down Westgate Street and they could hear the roar of the crowd, of course. And if you looked at that game again, you couldn't script that for the film. The way in which it unfolded, about the slight confusion, about the timing, about the way the speed of the game went, and the fact they could have kicked the ball out and ended the game, they didn't, in the stadium play and we scored again. I mean, that's film stuff, isn't it? And to be part of that is really special. It is a great place to work, don't get me wrong, it's such a challenge, it's ever changing, it's never the same thing, and that's what makes it a fascinating place. So I suppose, a bit of a drug really. I was absorbed by that. And so I took a full-time post in 2005, and now it's 8 years later. So, you know, time for me to move on, and, you know, I'll still keep some involvement with the stadium, but not in a full-time capacity. I've got some other interesting things to explore, but there's never a good time to make it. You know, we did the Olympics last year. That was great fun, so I'm really not being so arrogant. I've got most of the T-shirts now, FA Cups and Heineken Cups and Rugby World Cups, and someone said to me, oh look, you should stay for 2015 to Rugby World Cup 2015. I said, look, that would be my 4th Rugby World Cup. I did 91, you know, 99, 2007. I said, let someone else have a go at it. And I'm sure that, you know, there'll be a huge clamour to take my job. I go, no doubt about it, everyone want to play. Because people quite often say to me, God, you've got the best job in the world, you know. You get there and you can see every game. And actually the reality is, you know, we don't. We see about 3 or 4 minutes because there's always something happening behind the scenes. One thing I'm looking forward to, I think, probably be the next test game here will be in November. And for the first time in 13 years, I'll actually be sitting in one of these seats with my ticket, watching the game and not worrying about what's going on in the background.